Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports and 3Chi. I am your host, Robbie Fox, and with me is the Wasp to my Ant-Man, Clem. We are here to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania today, which we saw in IMAX early. Check this out. If you're watching on YouTube, we got these quantum-sized tickets. They called them quantum-sized, but wouldn't that mean it's a super small ticket? We got super big tickets.
Yeah, they like shrunk us down and then they gave us regular tickets, which then become giant tickets, is how I would figure it out. So that was very cool. That was a very cool little part. The Basement Boys got an early screening, right? So we're recording this on Wednesday before it comes out. And I hope this helps the podcast quality since we kind of have had a few days to marinate on it. I've had a few days to see all the other reviews come in, which have not been great so far. I think it's fair to say.
It's been very fair to say it's not been great. This is the lowest reviewed Marvel movie in the history of Rotten Tomatoes. It's only the second Marvel movie to have a rotten rating, the first being Eternals. And this one is dropping and dropping and dropping. I think it was at 54, 53 the last time I checked. And we knew it would be polarizing. Like when we looked at each other after the movie ended, it wasn't the high five. That was Endgame. We're so proud to be Marvel fans. It was like, all right, there was some good stuff in that, right? It was, we could pull some great stuff out of that. And I don't want to give people the impression that I hated Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, because I didn't. I enjoyed myself in the theater and everything. It's a movie with a lot of great stuff in it, but I'm not sure it's a great movie. There are stretches of the movie that I would also say are great. But as a whole, it did feel pretty messy. I wanted, we're not going to go into full spoilers yet, but I wanted Kang's presence to feel a little scarier. I wanted the movie's tone to be a little darker. And I thought the comedy was verging on Love and Thunder levels at times, which I was pretty much okay with in Love and Thunder. And I thought it was better for that story. In the story of the Kang first entry to this saga, it felt a little out of place. There was some stuff that I really did love, though, and we'll get to all of that. But yeah, as a whole, not a total swing and miss, but not a home run that we thought it would be.
No, I'd say it's definitely being logged in the books as an out. It's not even a hit. You're not getting a walk. It's definitely an out. And if you heard we've kind of been building to this through all the trailer breakdowns and just looking forward to the MCU in this phase in this year in 2023. And it felt like this was going to be a very important movie. We had that one producer who said it was going to be on the level of Civil War in terms of its importance. He had this epic sci-fi war. He had all this kind of stuff. And we're just like, oh, man, if we're talking you and I don't know if it's fair or not. You bring up like Civil War to Marvel fans and they're going to say, I expect Civil War quality or at least an airport level moment that is like, holy shit. And we didn't get that. And people have been asking us, which is like, this is, I think, the first time where I've had a movie that I saw like a few days before it came out. And I just wanted to kind of just give people our thoughts on it. Cause I've seen a lot of people say, I see the critics are killing on Rotten Tomatoes, which makes me think it's going to be even better. Cause a lot of times there is a disconnect between the critics and the audience. And I like to think that me and you are fans. We're not critics at all. When I need to know something about movie making, I go, all right, let me ask Jeff. Let me ask Jack, because I am a moron. I just know what I like in the screen. I still don't know what producers do in movies. If anyone could tell me, I don't even really know what directors do. I think they're the ones who hit record on the camera, right? I don't know any of this stuff. I am not a movie
That would be
guy.
The director of photography would probably hit record on the camera.
The director, does he do this thing?
Action. No, they don't do that either. That's like an assistant. Director tells them, he directs the scene. He tells where the camera should be, how to portray the role and all that kind of stuff.
I thought he did like a couple of things like that too, but I also thought he did this little stuff. I guess it makes sense. That's why we have to wait through 3 million hours of credits to get like the best part of this movie, to be honest, which for the people that haven't seen it yet, I'd say the post credits are one of the best parts and most important things. It's just, I know if I spent money, like $25 on a ticket, 2 hours of my time and all that, and then walked out of the theater, I'd be like, I feel a little pissed. And I think a lot of people are going to probably listen to this a little upset. I hope that, and people may love it, whatever. I'm not, after The Last Jedi, which is the last time I saw a rating just slowly nosedive like this, was The Last Jedi. And this isn't a bombing. Like the critics don't bomb, as far as I can tell. They don't review bomb stuff. I hope they got to like readjust their expectations a little bit. But for me personally, without getting the spoilers, like the first half of the movie, was a completely different thing than the second half. If they kind of made the second half of the movie a good chunk of the movie, I think it would have been a lot better. And listen, I just watched Ant-Man 1 and 2 going into this for the first time. It doesn't feel like an Ant-Man at all. I didn't think it was going to feel like an Ant-Man movie. It felt like the stakes were too big almost to have a kind of movie like that. So they got rid of the Ant-Man stuff, which everyone likes. And then they didn't give us kind of the over-the-top epics that we've had in the past in, say, your Captain Americas or maybe, Avengers things. And it kind of just left us in this weird middle. And I have to say, I should have known this was going to be the case because, again, going behind the scenes here, behind the curtain, Robbie and I, we got our seats. We went down to get popcorn, and we realized we looked at the line. There's a huge line for popcorn, and the way the screener works is you go, and as soon as 7 o'clock hits, lights go off, movie goes on. You don't have 20 minutes of trailers. And I'm like, Bob, we're gonna miss. And I was like, and the fat guy made the call. I said, Bob, I don't think we can do popcorn. Let's just go up and we'll just watch the movie. I would have loved to have a big fat cherry Coke, get my popcorn, and that's the best way to watch the movie. Maybe the movie's better with like popcorn. It just triggers.
We had nothing. We were dry. Yeah,
we were dry. We watched the movie dry. Robbie said, "Oh man, I almost packed some Fun Dip before I left the house today." Like we're like 7-year-olds that need to have candy fix as we're watching the movie. And hey, again, maybe if that butter was going through my veins, it like unleashes it. It's like drinking the goop of that guy, and everything just you didn't understand everything. But I was just like, what the fuck was that? So I have to say, it was kind of a bummer. I'll say this: the post credits, which we'll get into, and the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road remix, I think were the best parts of Quantumania. And that
wasn't even in the movie, right?
It wasn't even the movie.
Trailer. Yeah,
I thought they were going to play it a couple times. I'm like, all right, here we go. At least this is when we're going to get fucking gnarly and get Sir Elton tickling the ivories. And we just kind of got a very weird, disjointed movie. I kind of
disjointed. That's a good word to describe this movie. It's disjointed.
I trust the Feige still. I do trust the Feige.
Yeah, I'm not panicking.
But there is something in the back of my head now where I'm worried. So it's like, I feel like you had to hit. I think we said this in the preview. I thought you had to hit on Quantumania. I thought you had to hit at least like a solid single where you're not even hustling it just, into the outfield.
I would call it a single. Personally, I would call it a single. But I thought they had a home run on their hands.
I guess maybe you could call it a single just because the stuff that does lands. But it's almost like this is how I this phase, or maybe like the multiverse saga. I felt like we just hit a bunch of turbulence, and they're like, everything's fine, don't worry, just gonna be a little couple bumps over here in the over the Great Lakes. But I'm still just in the back of my head like, yeah, but like we're still like, I know that there's thunderstorms in Kansas right now, and I know like I feel like we're gonna hit a couple more bumps, and I thought this was gonna be the smoothest part of the ride, except for the Guardians thing. I feel like Guardians kind of has to carry the MCU for 2023 now. No,
they have to. The seatbelt button is still on. That's for sure.
Yes. The
seatbelt we need to get to the point where we turn that off and we're chilling and we're back in the MCU we know and love. And I don't want to harp on like the MCU's on a downward path, because the last movie they put out, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, was pretty fucking great. I thought that was like really, really good. It's on Disney Plus now. I know they put the Assembled on there. I got to check that out. But let's get into Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, spoilers and all, the entire movie. So if you're watching forward, we're going to spoil everything. We're going to go through the plot of the movie as best I remember it. That's the other thing. We saw it on Monday. It's now Wednesday. There's no sites out there where I could go to and like get a plot summary or description at all. So this is just off the noggin.
I was like, wait, do we record this after? I was like, I could watch my guy Heavy Spoilers break down the entire thing, and then I'll have, maybe there's some things I missed, some things that I'll like more. And you're like, now those really don't come out until the movie. I was like, fuck, god damn it. So we're kind of just going off it. And hey, I'm even going to recommend this to people if anyone actually listens. If people don't want to see the movie, that's the other thing. I'm like, go to the theater if you want to see it in the theater.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, it's like, if you want to wait till Disney Plus, if you're not a diehard, or you just want to like have the Basement Boys kind of tell you what happened and then you see it at some other point, you can do that too. I do think though, like the stuff at the end is better and bigger. That it is probably worth the, price of admission just to go. So
I agree with that. And the post-credit scene, like you said, is incredible. It's one of my favorite post-credit scenes we've ever gotten in Marvel. Mm-hmm. Like if I just paid for that, I think I'd be okay. So the cold open of the movie is Janet in the quantum realm, Michelle Pfeiffer. She sees a ship crash and it's Kang. It's Kang. It's Kang. The first 2 seconds of the movie, we get Jonathan Majors. And I'm like, fuck yeah. This is going to be the fucking Kang movie. It's going to be like Thanos in Infinity War, where Kang is practically the main character of this movie. We don't see Kang for another hour. So he's gone. And that was the first thing where his presence is definitely felt. Everyone's talking about him like he's fucking Voldemort. They're like, he is scary. He is the one you don't want to mess with. He is the conqueror. Nobody really says Kang till an hour into the movie. That was the first issue where maybe I shouldn't have expected that. It is an Ant-Man movie after all. The Kang Dynasty will probably be that movie for Kang. But I think the hype about Kang, this is the first big Thanos level threat since Thanos. He didn't really feel like a Thanos level threat to me in this movie. And that might be because we didn't spend enough time with him. Because when we did spend time with him, I loved him. I thought he was the best part of the movie.
Yep. If you maybe it's almost like maybe they should have had a Ronin they could have still have Kang, and like MODOK could be the Ronin and he's the guy who is the villain, yet you still know that he has someone above him on the org chart that he has to report to, because every minute without Kang, and again, maybe it's just my brain, but I don't think so. I just, the first half of that movie, there was something missing, and maybe it could have been him, it could have been anything else. It just felt off. So I was with you. I was like, here we go. Let's rock and roll. I thought Pfeiffer was good. I loved having Michelle Pfeiffer down there and kind of just seeing how she operated during that time. And then it kind of even the Ant-Man stuff, when we're, for the little limited time that they were just normal sized up in San Francisco, that was fun too. That was perfectly good.
It was 10 minutes, but it was fun. Like that was the only portion of the movie that felt like the other two Ant-Man movies, where they're making the Baskin Robbins jokes, employee of the century. He's giving the children his like autobiography reading at the bookstore. And then he gets a call that Cassie's in jail. The first thing that I thought of, and this is going to sound bad to some people, I'm going to put it out there. It's one of those things that I can't put in writing. But I was like, oh my God, he's getting the call like George W. Bush reading he was literally like, they were like, your daughter's in jail. And he was like, well, I got to finish this chapter and then I'll attend to it. He goes to jail, and we were debating, what did Cassie do to get put in jail? She probably did something for the better of other people. Robin Hood-like task, right? She did. She shrunk a cop car because cops were trying to get these homeless people that were displaced because of the blip out of a park. So she just shrunk their car. They put her in jail. On the way out, she puts like the toy cop car on the counter. I loved that. I was like, that's awesome. Cassie's great. Then I kind of turned on Cassie for the rest of the movie. I really did not like how her character was written. Goes right to the dinner where they let it slip that she's got her own suit and she's doing her inventions. And then they all shit on Scott Lang for not really wanting to be a superhero anymore. And I didn't know if we were supposed to be on their side narratively. Like, are we supposed to be like, yeah, Scott Lang, you're a hero. Continue saving the world. Because in my mind, I was like, I'm with him. He just fucking saved the literal universe, not just the world. He saved the universe. Let him fucking chill for the next couple years.
Yeah, 1,000%. He is the dude who kind of like put it all together. He wasn't the top billing there, but he was a huge part of it. And even Cassie, I like Cassie. I like her. And this is someone that didn't like, I knew her first from Endgame because I didn't watch the first two Ant-Man movies until recently. And I'll tell you, I saw her outfit at Comic-Con whenever they announced this movie. And I was like, oh my God, that is a goddamn. I'm like, that better not be the same little girl that I just watched it. But it just is weird. It feels like they kind of tried to level her up, but then they weren't leveling her up too much. And then I'm like, but she's also facing a fucking killing machine. It just, that entire thing was disjointed. And I'm with you. We didn't talk about this at all. I'm at the dinner table with them, and I'm like, what am I supposed to think right now? Because I feel like I'm the opposite of the way it's supposed to be going. So yeah, with Scott and all that was one part that definitely didn't land as well.
Yeah, so they go down to the basement to check out Cassie's new invention, and this is the scene that you've seen all over the trailers where it's the quantum realm satellite. Michelle Pfeiffer's like, what? You're sending a signal down to the quantum realm? Of course, they all get sucked into it, along with some ants that Hank was experimenting with. That'll be important later. Keep that in mind. And then for the next hour, Ant-Man turns into a straight-up Star Wars movie. We both said the same thing to each other. Visually, even some of the characters that appear are Star Wars. And it's cool in that, like, I love Star Wars, but it was almost a little too Star Wars. You know, it was Star Wars mixed with like Spy Kids 3, which I don't say that in the Book of Boba Fett, like cheesy Spy Kids way. The CGI was mostly good in this movie, but it did look Spy Kids 3-esque.
And there was a lot of CGI. And I know there's the people who get really mad about the CGI levels or if there's a lot of it. And I think that's going to be a very, if I could put money on the term CGI trending by this time tomorrow, basically, I'd like empty the bank account, responsibly empty the bank account.
Did you think there was bad CG though?
I don't know CG, good, bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, again, if it's really bad, I would notice. It was fine. It just was too much. We were looking at IMAX. We got lucky to have an IMAX theater, which was very cool. And people were like, should I spend the extra money on the IMAX or the 3D? And I'm like, I guess it could make it a little better. But I just found myself annoyed at this part because I didn't really like it. It was almost as if they had an Ant-Man script, the Ant-Man Quantumania script, and they had a Star Wars script for a future movie. Disney put it on the table. Mickey Mouse was carrying. He put them on the table. He knocked a glass of water onto them, and it like bled together into this weird movie that was half MCU, half Star Wars. And it was even like it was obviously like the aliens and the weird creatures, but even like the Star Wars has that thing where it's not like post-apocalyptic. It's like it's from another galaxy, and it's kind of like everything's a little dusty.
The Empire's coming after everyone as well, and
the Emperor's alive again. How did the Emperor come back for a third fucking time?
Somehow Palpatine has made it into this multiverse. Oscar Isaac shows up. That would be great. But they all get split up. So the groups are Scott and Cassie, him with his daughter, and then Hope with her parents, Janet and Hank. And they're both in very cool, very unique environments. Scott and Cassie are taken in by quantum people after a quick fight. And I listed the quantum people's names. Their names to me are Jelly Guy, Lighthead, Translator, and Warrior Girl.
Yes.
I don't know any of their names. I don't know if they're comic book characters. I don't know if they're new characters from Marvel Studios. Jose will join us hopefully next week to break down all of the comic relations in this movie and where they could have gone, where they could go.
And just break down all things Kang. That's the number one thing.
Exactly.
And let me tell you about those people. Lightman, I called her, in my mind, I called her Xena. She was Xena, like Space Warrior Princess. I do not give a flying fuck about these people. I don't want to see these people on my screen again. And by screen, I mean movie screen, TV screen during Disney Plus. I don't even want to see them as a fucking ad on my phone. I do not give a fuck about them or their little quantum world they lived in. I'm sure it's important to them. I did not give a fuck about any of them. Actually, Mind Reader Guy was cool. I liked him.
I was going to say Jelly Guy I liked the best.
Yeah, Jelly Guy was all right, but he kept pushing.
The other ones I didn't give a fuck about, but yeah, by the end, Jelly Guy maybe got a little, it was a bit much, as Rocket Raccoon would say. But I liked Jelly Guy. He was the one that I would be okay with coming back. Lighthead had a cool design and his like powers and everything, which, you know, rest in peace. Spoiler alert: Lighthead's gone by the end of the movie. I like Warrior Girl, the translator. I didn't care much for the Warrior Girl.
I did not like the Warrior Girl at all.
And when Cassie's telling Scott, "Oh my God, they're at war. What? Just because it's their war, it's not worth fighting?" It's like, bitch, you've been in the quantum realm for 30 seconds. Scott, the last time he was here, he was gone 5 years. Scott was like, what about your mom? Like, you could be missing out on her entire, we could come back, it's 500 years later. The fact that she made it to the quantum realm in 2 seconds was like, we need to fight this war inside this tiny people zone. Get the fuck out of here. That was crazy.
I forgot about that. That was one thing that really bothered me. That's part of the Cassie stuff that I hated as well. And someone said she always is like on a ledge and you're always scared she's going to fall. Like that was a thing. And yeah, like, bitch, this guy saved the actual universe, including everyone probably in this realm. Lighthead Guy, I thought was so cool looking in the trailer, right? And I was like, fuck yeah. And by the end of this, so I take it back. I do want to see these guys again, except I want it to be the Guardians get shrunk down to the quantum realm and then kill whoever's still fucking alive because I hate all these fucks. I hated them. I hated that hour. Thank God this movie was only 2 hours and 9 minutes long. Because if it was like 2 hours and 49 minutes long and I had that extra 40 minutes I was in that movie theater, I would have been cranky as a motherfucker. And you can hear the dad voice is coming out right now.
Yeah,
I would have been even crankier if I had to go through all that. It was, dude, I just kept thinking like, and it's like not good Star Wars. It was bad Star Wars movie that was going on our screen, man. It was, but it was like goofy. It was like a little goofier, which I guess that was the Ant-Man getting mixed into the ether of this little stew that they created. But it was just, I don't know. It was not good. If you liked it, you liked it, but not these guys.
So they go and get taken in kind of in a Return of the Jedi Ewok situation, I called it, in like a ritual, and they're all chanting something. They're chanting drink the ooze because this ooze will help them understand everyone. It's like a translation ooze, which I actually thought was a really cool concept. And then the other gang goes to a bar following Janet's lead when she kind of like messes someone up with a knife, and then they regrow it and they're like, oh, I'm all good, we're old friends or whatever.
I got worried when that happened. I got worried though. I was like, oh, we're gonna kind of go down this. Like, I've seen this movie before, you know what I mean?
So they go to a bar and they do shots of the translation drink, which I thought the ooze was one thing. When they were doing shots of it, I was like, that's a fucking cool thing to have in the quantum realm.
Yes, being able to understand everything, and like that's something I thought that was probably one of my things I liked more about this. That's fair. And by the way, I was laughing before because I was looking at my notes and all I just wrote was "fuck the rebels." I just hate that group of fucking people,
which is tough. Much. Like the way you describe these people to us is like they're under oppression from this evil empire, and we're like, we don't give a fuck. Like fuck them. Yeah. That's an issue. You got to write those characters better. I was rooting for Kang to kill all of them by the end of the movie, and I was upset when he didn't.
Were you rooting for Kang to kill Cassie? Be honest.
By the end of the movie, yeah, Cassie, she could have been gone. And I don't, I feel bad saying that because I know every one of these movies that there's the people that fuck America Chavez, they'll just pick the girl character and they say she's the worst written, whatever. I really felt like they didn't do a good job writing Cassie in this, and I thought they did a great job writing her in the previous movies, which she was younger. It's almost a different character at this point, but. It really irked me. And there's something that I'll get to later that irks me more than everything I've mentioned about it.
You want that little girl dead, Bob? Say it. Say, I want that little girl dead. Say it.
I want that little girl dead.
Oh my God, you still said it. I didn't think you were going to say it. On YouTube, you can see I pulled up her picture. You just said you wanted little sweet Cass dead. I can't believe it.
It's a different actress, you know?
Even younger. She's missing her 2 front teeth. You still want her dead?
Oh, I can't say I'm missing the 2 front teeth. That's like 6-year-old Cassie from the first one.
Don't walk it back.
Yeah, I still want her dead. I still want her dead.
Find me another review that is going back, and one of the hosts is wishing death on the little baby girl. She just in this movie, she was such an issue, I was just saying, shut the fuck up, Cassie. You're ruining everything. But like, just your actions, she was ruining everything. She wasn't ruining it like. Just by saying stuff and getting in Scott's head. So yeah, I'm with you on that, Bob.
So they go into this bar to meet an old friend of Janet's named Krylar. And the way they were building him up is like he's someone of importance. We see the ship coming in from afar and having this almost grand landing. I turned to you. I was like, I bet this is fucking Bill Murray. And who is it? But Bill Murray. He walks out and we realize it's Bill Murray playing Lando Calrissian, essentially. Yeah. He was smuggler type where he is now a higher ranking and he knew Janet and maybe they had a little thing. He alludes to that a couple times, which was one of the funnier jokes in the movie, I thought, where he's like, oh yeah, things got wild. And Hank's like, how wild? And they're like, yeah, you wouldn't want to know, man. You wouldn't want to know. Very Han Solo, Lando, Princess Leia vibes, down to him betraying our heroes for the evil empire.
It was, and it felt like you said with Lando. It was like, oh, Bill Murray is now a Star Wars character as well. This is kind of cool. We got 2 birds, 1 stone. He's in Marvel and he's in that. Just like the look on Hank's face as he's like, my sweet, beautiful wife that I thought was just in the middle of nowhere for 30 years. And she was just getting banged out by fucking Bill Murray. And like, let's be honest, Bill wasn't the only one there at that, when they were like, aliens were getting in on Pfeiffer, and like Pfeiffer was given and taken. I'm telling you, like in that little world, they're eating fucking like jellyfish or whatever to
it's like a squid. And there was a great moment where they throw a pin particle at the squid at the end, and the squid that he was eating is now eating him. And they don't show you his death at the end, which to me was almost like the Collector in Infinity War, where they're like, we like this guy, he's a zany character, we might want to bring him back. Let's not show the death, but let's just imply it.
That's actually a great call. I'm telling you, like, Hank is probably like, so that's where Janet picked up that new trick we learned in the bedroom, where she's fucking, electrocuting me or some shit like that. Like, there is some weird shit that goes on in that quantum realm. I did not see any of this coming when this movie started, too. And by the way, Bill Murray, he kind of had like Peter Venkman vibes about him when he was doing that, right? Like, when he does the card and he keeps giving the blonde girl the right answers and the poor curly head, like he was just Hank was just getting fucking bitched in this movie. And again, after watching the first 2, I realized Hank Pym's kind of a dick. I'm kind of happy he got it back at him, and he found out his wife is getting turned out by fucking sea urchins down in the quantum realm.
All right, we got to cut the podcast off real quick to tell everyone about Gametime. Gametime is the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports, and we love Gametime. Created by fans for fans, Gametime is the ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, shows, and more. We said this week Kevin took his kids to Disney on Ice, so it's more than just sports and concerts and stuff that you would generally expect a ticket site to have. They guarantee the lowest price as well. They've cracked the code on how to score last minute deals on last minute tickets, and it's possible with their app, the Gametime app. It's the biggest last minute price drops can be found right there on seats that you never thought you could buy. This is 100% true. I've used Gametime before. I've talked about it. Used it for concerts. There's people in the office that have used it for sports constantly. I've used it for a Ranger game before. It's the best app in the business, and they hook us up all the time. We appreciate them for that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Ant-Man is definitely like a family-centric movie, right? And I'll be taking the family to a live Bluey show in about a month. So we're going through
awesome.
We're gonna go through
I know how big
that.
Bluey is in the Clem household.
It's
so that's huge. Yeah. This is your kid's Ant-Man.
Johnny, who's the wrestler? Johnny
Gargano.
He had a Bluey cake for his kid's first birthday.
I saw that. I saw you retweeted it, like the Bluey cake and then like the cake from the show they made.
The dad makes I think they make like a duck cake, and he did like a recreation of it's like a terrible duck cake. So Bluey is close to all our hearts. We love it as much as we love Gametime. Yeah, I said it.
The purchase process takes just 2 steps and 10 seconds. Once you buy your tickets, they're delivered directly to your phone, no printer needed, and the app allows you to easily share the tickets with friends and family via text, so you can get into the game seamlessly. Someone's running late, doesn't mean everyone has to be late. You just send that person their ticket, they'll get in when they get in. So download the Gametime app or go to the website, enter your email, and redeem the code MMB for My Mom's Basement, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but Gametime, like I said, lowest price guaranteed, and they've really cracked the code on it. So check them out.
Save some money, have some fun, keep the basement lights on.
So I wanted to ask you about Hank, because you did just watch the first 2 Ant-Man movies for the first time. We talked about Hank being a bit of a hard ass, bit of a dick. Did you feel like he was different in this movie? I felt like the Hank we got in Quantumania was almost like Empire Strikes Back Yoda compared to the prequels Yoda, where he was a little zanier and a little more wild. Just give me something that gets me drunk. Where I felt like in the last 2 movies, he was a little more like wearing a suit and brilliant. This one, he's a little crazy.
He's crazy. He's a little softer too. And I didn't know he was almost a grandpa Hank too, right now that he has Cassie in the mix too. So I don't know how that, I guess getting blipped away and brought back could definitely do that to you as well. But I got the same vibes. He was kind of just a silly asshole who, I mean, at his core, he is a guy that just loves ants. So I guess
by the end, when he comes with the ants too, like, it was played like a badass dramatic moment, but I was almost still like in that, like, this is our funny guy mode. We didn't have Michael Pena in this one. We didn't have Lewis. So he was almost the funny character, and MODOK, I guess, to a degree, which I actually will get to MODOK, but I like MODOK.
MODOK landed. Like based on our theater, there was a good amount of laughs. People enjoyed the way it all went down. It's I guess it could have been better, but I think I was perfectly fine with MODOK. No, it sucks though. It sucks. He is such a big part of the Ant-Man movies, and again, if you're gonna take him out and you're like, all right, this isn't your typical Ant-Man, that's fine. But then it was so far, it wasn't like it wasn't a big Marvel blockbuster. So I think they could have still. I don't know. It's like if you're not going to have him in there, they didn't have anything good to replace him with, and there were not nearly enough laughs in the theater. I thought for
and in a huge IMAX theater, no.
Every laugh felt like a breath of fresh air. It's like, oh, thank God, like we were able to like recharge the batteries. I don't need every Marvel movie to be hilarious. Sometimes that is like the flaw with the Guardians movies is they kind of follow up these dramatic moments with like, I'm like, we didn't really need to laugh there sometimes, but man. This was tough.
Yeah. So Kang attacks the Quantum people and sends MODOK after Scott and Cassie. And MODOK is, if you're not aware, Darren Cross, a.k.a. Yellow Jacket from the first movie. And that reveal was pretty cool. Seeing Cassie so afraid and almost like a PTSD of this was the guy in my room when I was 6. That was a well-played moment. Cassie, at some point, I don't know if it's at this point in the movie, but this is what really fucking pissed me off. She reveals she has her own suit in the quantum realm. Why didn't you hit that suit on your chest and put it on the second you were transported down there? There was moments where she was dangling off a cliff. She was running away. No suit. And Ant-Man had to turn into Giant Man and save her ass multiple times. Was she afraid that Scott was going to be angry at her? My dad's going to be angry that I have a suit. You're in the fucking quantum realm. You got your whole family stuck in the quantum realm. He's not going to be any madder than that. Why did it take her so long to reveal the suit?
That's actually a great point. I remember being angry about it, and I guess that's what I was angry. I'm like, oh, so we're just gonna have the suit now, and she kind of knows what she's doing, but she doesn't know, so it's kind of a tutorial on the fly. I still don't agree with what you said
that
about.
Really irked me.
I still don't agree with what you said about little sweet young Cassie. However, I'm starting to understand a little bit. I'm starting to understand. That's all I'm gonna say, Bob.
So at this point in the movie, I'm going to be completely transparent with our listeners and watchers. Things get messy in my brain. Like, I don't necessarily remember the order of what goes together, but I wrote it down as best as I could. Scott and Cassie are jailed. They get put in jail. MODOK talks to them, and Kang comes into the frame for the first time. We actually see Jonathan Majors as Kang, and he has an amazing scene. He fucking force chokes MODOK like he's Darth Vader. And he's like, don't talk to me. And he's so intimidating. There's the line from the trailer, you're an Avenger. Have I killed you before? He's like, it all blends together at this point. His presence was finally felt, and it was really cool. And he tells Scott he needs him to fix his time chair. And I think at this point, we get the backstory kind of like from Kang, but also from Janet telling Hope and Hank the backstory. And this is far and away my favorite part of the movie, was the flashbacks to the relationship between Janet and Kang, how they met in the quantum realm, and how it was Kang crashed and bonded with Janet because she came up to him right away. She was the first person to see him and rescue him, essentially. For years, they try everything to fix the chair that he crashed in, that he says can take them out of the quantum realm. It's the time chair, the Kang time chair that you know from the comics and everything. Eventually, years later, they find something that works. They repair the engine, and just as Janet goes to put the engine back in the chair, she gets a flash, almost like Rey Force Awakens type flash, where she sees Kang's past, she sees his future, she sees that he's the conqueror of worlds, he kills many people, he probably wants to get out of the quantum realm just to kill more people, just to kill more worlds. He reassures her, like, listen, I got to do what I got to do, but if you help me get out of here, I'll make sure your world is fine. Like, every other world, you know, all bets are off, but your world will be fine. She goes, fuck that, and she hits the engine with a bunch of PIM particles, PIM pads, and she makes it gigantic, trapping them forever. And that is Kang's vendetta against Janet. And that's why everyone in the quantum realm knows who she is. Kang has been building an army, building an empire to now conquer worlds, conquer the quantum realm, get out of the quantum realm eventually. And he needs Scott to fix that part of the engine. This was awesome, I thought. And it's kind of like a big stretch of the movie where Michelle Pfeiffer is one of the main characters. Her acting is as good as it's ever been. And against Jonathan Majors, I was like, all right, here's where the movie's about to pick up steam. And this is where the movie, in my opinion, gets great. Afterwards, it goes back to being a bit of a mess. But for this stretch, I was like, all right, we're finally in this movie that I wanted to see.
When I say, so like I said, like in the pre-spoilers part, that first chunk of the movie, the Star Wars part of the movie, crumple it up, throw it in the garbage, throw it with the sequel trilogies, throw it with the prequel trilogies, throw it with all that nonsense. No offense, prequel stan. This part is like, all right, this is what I signed up for. They could have, that whole fucking other part, they could have just had like an Ant-Man movie where it was funny. We had Lewis, we had all this kind of shit. They could have basically anything but what they had. And then like, oh, well, it comes back at the end. That part could get thrown out too. I really didn't need that. This could have just been a 20-minute movie where she goes down to the quantum realm, tells us all about Kang and all that, and you're just like, shit. And you know what? Bang for your buck, I would have been fine with it. And this is where I started getting the excitement. I started really locking in and having fun with the movie. So you said,
I feel like every time Kang showed up, we looked at each other like, oh shit, it's the fucking guy.
Now, we'll get into like different parts of it. Beginning at Kang, when you're showing, when he's force fucking people up and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, oh, this guy's a badass dude. Then by the end, I feel like he's kind of a bitch. I'm like, did we get the bitch Kang? Like, are all those other Kangs out there like stronger? Or is this guy just, he's been in this world so long, doesn't have like together his technology? Is that why he's not as, again, the big purple guy has the big fucking, those are size 23 fucking boots we're looking to fill here. He ain't going down to anybody in this fucking
No.
like this. The Titans' biggest problem was kind of his own laziness, and he kind of let everyone do his bidding for him. And it wasn't until he fucking put the fucking gauntlet on and said, "I'm gonna do it myself," that he actually did it. And you kind of see, I think that's his biggest flaw in Endgame, is he just sits there waiting for everyone to do it, let them do his bidding for him. Kang, I feel like he kind of spit all his bars in the trailers too. I feel like all the fucking
his best lines were in the trailer.
All his we got the Kang, like he released all his singles, and they were like, oh, we're gonna get his album, and then you listen to the album, like, oh, all the singles are all the good parts, and everything else was kind of like, and again, I think he's by far the best part of the movie, but I wish they kind of maybe held some more stuff in their pocket. Even the ending, One of Us Has to Lose, that was the fucking end of the goddamn movie that they just showed us. He's stomping out the helmet, and I'm like, there's no way they actually showed us that. No, they actually showed
us. Yeah. Like everything in the trailer, you saw pretty much the whole movie. There was nothing. There was no third act thing that they held away. And it was a big surprise. You saw a lot of the movie in the trailer. That was an issue. One of the biggest issues with this movie is the marketing. I think the way the producers came out said it's going to be Civil War. This is the next Thanos level threat, which I'm sure he will turn into. But he wasn't in this movie. He didn't feel like a guy who, I mean, Scott Lang got a lot of offense in on Kang. And granted, he got his ass kicked in that fight. Like he was really getting dismantled. But every time he hit Kang with a punch that seemed to hurt Kang, I cringed a little. I was like, oh no, but he's Kang though. Like he's supposed to be Kang. Maybe the big threat, I'm not a comic reader. I'm not a Kang comics guy. We'll get Jose to talk about this. Maybe the threat isn't the singular Kang. Maybe it's the fact that there are 1,000 million Kangs, however many there are. And the team up is the big threat. But in this, it was tough to hear this is the next Thanos. And in this movie, he does not display that. He doesn't show that.
He showed, like you said, he's kind of, you get it at first. Obviously, with the name, they're not saying his name. And then the Conqueror, you're hearing all this. And then when he's just fucking them up, just like thinking, and he's, holding people against their will and threatening to, do stuff to Cassie. But then I feel like he ran out of batteries or something. I'm like, where is this bad dude that I've been like, I'm kind of looking for a new villain. I'm in the villain market right now. Like my old guy turned into dust. I'm looking for a new guy to kind of little bad boy in my life. And this guy kind of had me by the short hairs at first. And I'm kind of just like, you kind of got washed by Ant-Man. Like we're not talking Iron Man or Cap or fucking Thor. Again, we love him. He's the Intercontinental title circuit. He's not in the heavyweight championship title circuit. Kind of makes it look. I wrote a whole fucking blog saying, does anyone else feel that fucking Kang is about to wipe the floor with Ant-Man? And if anyone got the floor with them, he was the fucking acting like the mop for a little bit there.
He was, yeah. So Scott goes down to help him fix the engine, and he meets all these different versions of himself. This was the only part of the movie where the CGI looked a little wonky to me, when there's multiple Scotts, and there's the Baskin-Robbins Scott who wound up just working at Baskin-Robbins his whole life.
I could have used more Scott variants that were a little funnier.
Yes, I agree with that. The fact that there was just the one was a little weird. It was like every scenario Scott becomes Ant-Man except I would have gone for one where he's a criminal still and he's bald and he's got tattoos on his neck and one, crazy stuff like that.
Thor,
you get to see an Ant-Man
who has the Mjolnir in his hand. Like
we get confused for each other sometimes.
Yeah, we could fucking come on, man. You're Marvel, dude, and like
you're telling us there's endless variants and they all look the same. That's not fun.
You're Marvel. You can. It's like what do they call them? Their possibilities. It's like you have fun with this kind of shit. Don't give me a Star Wars movie for the first half and then not have fun with it. Like the thing about the multiverse and probability and all this kind of stuff, possibilities, you can kind of have fun with it. And I like the Baskin-Robbins one. I just thought they could have made that a little more fun. Like those are misses that I think they could have had that would have like felt like big wins for us in the theater, who was just looking for anything to like hold on to and be like, all right, I'm walking out of the theater satisfied right now.
Yeah, and you do get one thing that you asked for pre-movie. You said you wanted to see Ant-Man die 1,000 times like he was Kenny from South Park.
I thought it was going to happen. I don't know if I said I wanted it to happen. I might have been on my Kang fucking high at that point, so I might have said I wanted that. I didn't say I wanted his daughter to die, let alone his
You didn't say that. No, you didn't
say that. She was a young child.
I didn't say you said that. I said that. But we do get to see one Ant-Man die in this movie. He gets sliced up by the engine and everything. At this point, I think hope comes down to save him here, and Cassie breaks out with the warrior girl, and they do their thing. And Cassie gives the Andy Serkis speech from Andor, where she's like, "Rise up, fight. She's in the hologram and everything. It's just not as good as the Andy Serkis one. It felt a little
What's the like chant that they say?
One way out.
One way out. Yeah. Exactly.
It wasn't as good as the One Way Out, or it wasn't as good as the Ready Player One speech to get the army. But here we get our epic sci-fi war movie, which some of these scenes were epic for sure. When we see these massive droves of people just coming in to fight Kang. Kang does get a few kills in. He kills the light head guy. He just disintegrates his head and everything. I wanted to see him kill every single character we were introduced to that wasn't one of the mains, right? Like I wanted to see him kill the Lighthead, the translator, the jelly guy, especially because I liked him. I wanted to see Kang kill someone I liked to really give me that heartbreak, like Thanos crushing Loki, in the beginning of that movie, something like that. He doesn't get enough, though. We see people retreat. Scott comes in giant, and he destroys a lot of the towers. He hugs giant Cassie, and they do have a funny callback to Civil War here where she's like, I'm craving like citrus or a lime. And he's like, yeah, it's citrus, right? Yeah, same thing with me. So I liked that. I liked when he said, cool. I feel like I'm hugging Godzilla. That was one of the
hungry right now.
That was one of the few father-daughter moments where I was like, all right, that's sweet. That's not cheesy. I like the way that was written. And I think Kang's got a scene with Janet somewhere in here as well, where they kind of talk about their past and coming back. MODOK is convinced by Cassie that he's a dick. And we thought this was funny because in our Ant-Man reviews last week, we were like, Darren Cross is just a dick. That's kind of his power. He's a dick. That's the best word to describe him. And in this movie, they were like, you're a dick. And he was like, fuck, I'm a dick. I am a dick. That was really funny. And then Hank brings all the ants back from the beginning. Some giant ones, some regular size ones, some middle size ones. They've aged 1,000 years and are super smart. They have, sensors on their heads that are destroying things. I wrote, they overwhelm Kang like the rats overwhelming Starro in the Suicide Squad. And with some help from MODOK. Kang puts up like a little shield around himself, and then MODOK crashes into it. MODOK then dies, an Avenger. That was, I said before, one of my favorite funny moments in the movie was MODOK. This one, when he's like, at least I died, an Avenger. And he puts his tiny little baby arm on Paul Rudd's face. Paul Rudd's like, yeah. You died an Avenger. That was really good. And it borderline was a moment where it doesn't need a joke. It was a pretty serious moment, but the joke hit, so I was okay with it.
Yeah, it was an Ant-Man joke, and in a typical Ant-Man movie, it's fine. It's just this is also like this weird sci-fi epic war movie, so you're kind of getting those vibes.
Like the stakes of it are too high for constant joking, but this joke was funny. So
and he tried to kill like his kid, and it's just kind of weird that it's like, oh no, it's cool. You tried to kill my daughter. So there were some things that just were kind of weird. And listen, I think everyone in our theater, or a lot of the people in our theater, are probably pretty big nerds, and they understand like MODOK is a ridiculous character in its essence. So you have to just laugh at the fucking thing. And I almost wish I didn't know Derek was going to be MODOK, because that's a great reveal. And like you said, if they could have somehow not revealed that, I thought it would have been
way better. Yeah, it would have been a cool surprise.
Together. Yeah, exactly. So that kind of hurt, but I mean, it is. I'm not going to like cry too much about it.
All right, cutting off the podcast one more time to tell everyone about Factor. Factor is amazing. Their fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes. All you have to do is heat them up and enjoy. You fuel up fast with these ready-to-eat, nutritious meals delivered straight to your door. Leaves you the time and energy to tackle everything on your to-do list. This would be good for, if you're going into the quantum realm, you don't know how long you're going to be there, heat up a couple Factor meals. Bring one with you,
That's exactly, Bob. I was in the same boat. We're thinking the same way there.
No matter what your lifestyle is, they have delicious flavor-packed meals to help you live your fullest with keto, calorie smart, vegan, and veggie options on the menu every week, plus protein plus options. 34 chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals weekly. There's always something new to try. Plus, you can round out your meal and replenish your snack supply with an assortment of 36 sweets, smoothies, juices, and more satisfying add-ons. And I'm not even just saying this for the ad. I got my Factor box in the mail today, right before this podcast. Me and Clem did the rundown today. Right before we did that, Factor arrived, and I was so thrilled. That's meals for the next week.
Remember when I was looking at the Factor website and I was like, wait, they have this stuff? Oh, I wish I could have had that stuff back when
you were keto.
It's like they basically have Kang's technology. That's what they use at Factor right now. I'm so jealous. I love it.
It's basically from the future.
Yep.
Head to factormeals.com/Robbie50, ROBBIE50, and use that same code Robbie50 to get 50% off your first box today. That's code Robbie50 at factormeals.com/Robbie50 to get 50% off your first box. Make sure you spell Robbie, ROBBIE. We don't mess with the Y's.
The biggest problem with, like you said, the epic sci-fi battle or whatever, and all the rebels coming, is it's hard to like feel invested when, like you, I'm just like, kill all these fucking assholes, gang. Gang, me and you, like all these fucking, this light guy and Xena warrior princess and goo guy without any holes, which I knew he was gonna have holes. I was like, all right, here comes the goddamn punchline. I hopefully will never see these people again unless it's the Guardians killing them. Kang, me and you were together until at least 2025. I know the way the fucking timeline is. I want you to just crush these motherfuckers. And even when he's like, you know how many like uprisings I've put down? I wanted it to feel like the Matrix, where the what's the Oracle is like, oh, you're the Neo for this one, and then when you die, another Neo will come, and you just want to feel hopeless that this guy always has the answers, no matter what. You change the questions, he gets the answers, no matter what. And they just like, that was another thing where I'm like, they could have done that so much better. I don't know if they thought we were gonna like these guys. I found them very forgettable, if not just straight up unlikable. So
they
I'm with
felt
you,
almost like a rip off of like the side characters in Ragnarok or something, like a rip off Korg and Valkyrie. And
yeah, like Korg was more likable than everyone there. What's another like franchise?
even
So, like,
Valkyrie, like they did the Warrior Girl before and they did it well with her. Like I like Valkyrie.
This, and I've seen a lot of people compare this movie to like Love and Thunder in terms of
I do think that's the closest comparison. And I'm one of the few, I feel like at this point, that I still like Love and Thunder. It might be the Taika Waititi comedy that I really enjoy. The stakes were a little lower, but it has a lot of the same issues. The pacing is a little messy. You don't get enough of the villain that we want it to be so devastating and dark. And there's a little too much MCU cheese humor, if you want to refer to it like that.
Yep. And I will say this, and there's going to be people listening that are going to be like, you guys have just been negative this whole time. We like the Kang parts a lot. And I will say this in defense of Kang for the future. Thanos took plenty of time to come together. You watch like Guardians 1 and you're just like, he's kind of just there every time. And he didn't look right. He didn't sound right. And Brolin just crushed it so much in Infinity War and then Endgame as well. But mostly Infinity War right off the bat, that you forget that Thanos was kind of like this like, you know, figure that you knew, this powerful figure you knew was coming, but it wasn't like, I was like, oh, fuck, like I forget about Thanos half the time. So I will give, like, even if we got little bitch Kang here, I completely acknowledge that there could be a much bigger threat in Kang in the future. Which still be awesome.
To be fair, they kind of acknowledged that this is a bitch Kang. This was an exiled Kang.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he was a bitch or if he was crazy or whatever that realm was, but he was telling everyone, like, if I get out, you're going to have to deal with the real Kangs, essentially. Like, you want me to get out, or else very bad things are going to happen and everyone you know and love is going to die. So maybe this was the bitch Kang, but like, tell us that. I don't know how you tell us that. Just tell us going into the movie, like, well, this is a version of Kang. It might not be the final one you see in Kang Dynasty. Maybe that would just help us prepare for what we were getting, instead of like, this is the next fucking Civil War. Because it's not. It just isn't in any way, shape, or form.
And even when I heard that quote, I said, I can't believe Feige would let someone say something like that, knowing after like Bettany said the thing about facing this huge actor or working with this big actor. At this point, you guys have to know what to say and what not to say in this fucking aggregate world where all the news just travels like crazy. And I understand if you're mixing quantum physics, time travel, multiverses, it's a lot of stuff you're kind of putting together. And listen, we have between the Skrulls, the Secret Invasion, Secret Wars. I get all those things confused. Guardians. There's going to be the Eternals. Pip is going to be in it. Adam Warlock. There's going to be a lot of space shit. I didn't need another space movie taking place in the quantum realm, because I'm going to be spaced out probably in 2024, 25. I'm going to be so sick of the stars and the cosmos and alien species. I didn't need it in this one. So I think that was kind of a little thing that pissed me off at the end.
So at the end, the gang opens up a portal to go home, and they all start going through it, but Kang stops Scott from going through. And he has the half sleeve, like Kane in this outfit. Yes. He's all torn apart from the ants and stuff. He looks pretty fucking cool with a torn apart outfit. Oh, and that was the other thing I wanted to mention. Kang's design is one of the best. Like his outfit, the scales of it, and the blue, the way they figured out that as a helmet. I loved his entire design. Also, though, he's floating around on that little thing the whole time. I couldn't help but think at the end when all the ants are coming for him, just fucking float up a little bit, man. And you're taller than all of them, and then they can't get you. Like,
I didn't even think I didn't even think of that. And remember when I said in our preview, or I think it was when Matty Fitz came out, we did the review of Ant-Man 1 and 2, where I'm like, there's no way Hank's gonna actually come in with these fucking flying ants and he's gonna take down Kang. Now, granted, these ants had like leveled up a million times through like evolution through years, but at the same point, and it's like fucking weirdo crazy grandpa Hank Pym coming in leading them too. That is like it's just tough to swallow for I just met the big baddie. But again, either this was bitch Kang, or hey, maybe he's like super powerful Kang, but the other Kangs knew how powerful he was, and he was just exile Kang, and he kind of like he lost it. I mean, I think, dude, we've already exiled in our house for a couple of years here. 2019 Clem is so much better than 2023 Clem. I stink. So that's only after 4 years of like the world of like being locked in my house. I imagine this guy being locked in the quantum realm, he's lost a lot of his fastball. I'm down like 82 miles per hour right now. I'm getting by a fucking junk boy. I had to learn the knuckleball. That's the only way I could fucking go about it. I had to learn the knuckleball.
So they fight for a while. Ant-Man does get his ass kicked. He puts up a decent fight, though. Way better fight than I ever thought he would put up. And Hope comes back through the portal to save him. They kick Kang into this broken engine, and they kind of spin him out like Darth Vader, I said in the theater. Now, in the post-credit scene, I'm pretty sure they said he's dead. They were like, is he dead? And they were like, yeah, he's dead. So they didn't really, I mean, they spun out Kang and that he'll be back. But this Kang, I'm pretty sure they actually fucking killed, which I didn't expect to see. But
do you think he's actually dead?
I don't know.
I know
the way he shrinks in, I'd say no. I'd say no. He comes back into Kang Dynasty, and they're like, that's the fucking exiled one, and then the Kangs have to fight him, and then that gives the heroes an advantage, something like that. But yeah, they kick him in. I didn't even expect that. I expected them to just narrowly escape the quantum realm, and the threat of Kang is out there. I would have preferred that. I didn't like that it felt like Ant-Man defeated Kang, and now we have to, like, he's supposed to be the big bad. Like, Ant-Man just went over on him, to use wrestling terms. So yeah. I could believe that heroes could beat him at this point.
I will say, it almost feels like when he says, it's almost by spinning him out, if he's dead, or maybe he just becomes irrelevant, we never think of him again. But maybe by doing that, like by not killing him, it's like not getting a clean 1, 2, 3 count as a pin. It's like he got counted out of the ring, right? Because he was handcuffed to the railing and the ref counted him out. It's like you can't have Ant-Man getting a clean pin win over Kang, because I will not believe in a stadium full of Kangs. I don't give a shit. I'm like, it doesn't matter. One of those guys lost a fucking Ant-Man. And again, this is a guy who was saying, I've killed so many Avengers, they all blend together. It's like, well, you just lost to like, I don't know.
To Scott Lang and his family.
Yeah, to his like one of them who just was like learning the suit. Hope was snapped away for 5 fucking years.
So were the 2 olds. The 2 old people. You couldn't even kill the olds. We said the olds are fucking goners. They're Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas. They're gonna go out like Woody and Buzz and Toy Story. We said they're gonna hold hands into the fire. It's gonna be real sad, but at least they have each other. They're fine.
They might be better. They're probably as healthy as they've ever been. Their sexual life is about to get really strange. I've already been delving way too deep into. Like you couldn't take down the kid or the olds. Like what is this big? Thanos would have at least killed one of these fucking guys, right? Like
Thanos would have crushed Hank Pym. Like he would have done something where he's like a car compactor and he turns Hank Pym into an ant-sized human to kill him. Like he would have been so brutal that we would have had our jaws on the floor. Instead, Kang's like, enjoy your fucking bingo on Friday night.
Thanos would have killed himself if he lost to ants. He lost to ants. Kang lost. Oh my God. I'm like, now I'm reliving this in real time. And I'm thinking
now the ants thing, I'm on the other side with you on the ants thing. The way they portrayed the ants made me think like, all right, they might be able to beat anyone. If you have 1 million ants and they're all fucking the size of a minivan, like, and then there's some the size of the Empire State Building. Well, I won't say that. That's a bad building. The World Trade Center or something. It's a giant battleship-sized ant. I was like, all right, if you're going to do the ants, do them like that.
and they're super smart and they've evolved. Okay, because I was about to go down a really dark hole and be like, this guy just got washed by ants after I said he was going to kick the shit out of Scott Lang, kill him 1,000 times, and all this kind of stuff. I would have gotten really depressed. So you kind of you did talk me out of that. So that's good. It's still just a tough. It's there's no way to spin this as a positive for Kang. I feel.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, we wanted to come out of this like bang, bang, Kang, gang. I don't know if
Yeah.
I feel that in my veins right now.
I can't release the shirt. I can't even throw out the chance of a C and D. I know that at Barstool, I think like they're being more careful with releases now too. So I have to have like a minimum on the quota. I can't be throwing out bang, bang, Kang gang shirts after he lost to Ants.
We'll do
Super
something
smart
for
ants or not.
Guardians.
Yeah, hopefully.
Something for Guardians, that'd be nice. So the ending of the movie, Scott goes back to his normal life, and I actually liked the ending. He remembers multiple times what Kang said. He's like, oh, and back to my normal life. I'm Scott Lang in San Francisco. They got the welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. They got that song playing and everything. And then he kind of has those moments of like, but wait a minute. He said, if I didn't get him out of the quantum realm, everyone is going to die. He's like, nah, I'm sure we won't be seeing that guy again. And he does that twice. And I liked that. There was multiple flashes of like fear in Scott Lang's mind of this guy is going to be the looming threat that he was promised to be.
I appreciated that dread feeling so much. It's almost like when you're like, did I blow out that candle? Did I turn off the oven? And you're, it'll be fine. Like, the candle's not going to blow over. The oven will just cook. Nothing's inside of it. And it does. That's the way I wanted Kang to feel the entire time, where it's like, I have this guy who's like a badass motherfucker, plus like potentially other Kangs, if you wanted to throw that in. And that was what I wanted from it. And again, that was when I'm like, all right, this movie, it was what it was, but at least we have that payoff of it. And I didn't know if we'd see something kind of in the background, like when we got the statue reveal at the end of Loki season 1, where you see the Kang. I didn't know if we get that during the actual Ant-Man stuff. But again, you leave the quantum realm, you leave those stupid rebels behind, and I'm like, oh, an enjoyable movie again. Here we go.
Yeah.
And I have to say this too. I have to admit this. I'm kind of in the mood for a Baskin Robbins cake. When they were eating the cake,
the ant cake. That was funny when he's like, "This is the first cake I made since 1997." He's like, "I can see that."
And you know what? If they kill that guy, like that guy was, he was like, I like how I appreciate he was nice to Scott and all that, and then he fired him. But kill that. Like if Kang is going to come back to San Francisco, kill that guy. I'm 100%.
Yeah. So the mid-credits scene. The mid-credits is actually my favorite. The post-credits was incredible as well, but the mid-credits, I also kind of fucking called. Let's say that. I was pretty close. Not spot on, but pretty close.
The Basement Boys, listen, we're going to take our swings. I fully admit I swung and I couldn't have, I like swung 3 times and fell all 3 times. And on the last one, the bat left my hands. Like I was so wrong about Kang wiping the floor with Scott Lang and just what this whole movie was. But my guy, Bob Fox, give him his flowers. And listen, don't think like we have spoilers. I remember when people like, Bob, you knew that Cap was going to wield Mjolnir at the end of Endgame. Bob Fox would have had coming out of his fucking pants for the entire year of 2019 if he had known that going into the fucking movie. We don't know what we're talking about, but when we nail it, just give us our respect. And Bob, you nailed it.
So I nailed it. It's a bunch of Kangs. They're led by Immortus, which is the head honcho Kang, and he's speaking in like a different tongue, and they all look different. They've got mustaches. One of them is possibly Kid Immortus. He has more of a sleek blue head. And then there's also Rama Tut, who is the Egyptian version of Kang, one of the more famous ones from the comics, at least.
And Jose will be breaking down all this because trust me, guys, if you don't know what this is, I do not have any clue what any. I have no Rama Tut is a big deal. Who's the guy, the big swinging dick guy that you said first?
Immortus.
Apparently,
he's the biggest. And I'm not even sure the other one's Kid Immortus. I actually looked into, like, I typed in Ant-Man post-credit scene to see if anyone had been talking about it. And there was just speculation that these were the 3 Immortuses, or the 3 Kangs. So Rama Tut is confirmed. That's definitely Rama Tut. The other 2 I could be wrong on. So don't take that with a grain of salt. They speak about the exiled Kang being defeated. And then we see this full arena. And one of the Kang says to the other one, like, how many did you call? And he says, all of us. And then we see the arena where Kangs are just being transported. And it's almost a Roman Colosseum type looking arena. And all these Kangs in the crowd are just losing their minds. They're cheering, they're laughing, they're yucking it up. We even see what I thought was a Skrull Kang, but I found out it's just like this creepy looking Kang from an Avengers comic book. I sent you the panel. They
Yeah.
kind of recreate this shot from, apparently it's an iconic shot from an Avengers comic book, and it's really cool. This post-credit scene to me was as big as Thanos turning around after the first Avengers. I was like, okay, these are the fucking Kangs. These are the ones we got to be worried about.
And that part of Kang and all the Kangs, his story is now in motion, which is huge.
Yes.
Like that. And again, it hurts going through a 2-hour movie. And then the biggest part is, and that happens a lot.
15 seconds at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is what it is. I wish I had more fun on the ride, but getting to there, and that helps you leave the movie theater with a better taste in your mouth, for sure. For sure.
Totally. And then the post-credit scene, we just saw a mid-credit scene that set up the Kang Dynasty and the overall MCU next phase. The post-credit scene is a more direct setup for Loki Season 2. We see Kang as Victor Timely. This is an early 1900s version of Kang, and he's performing a show where he's like, time shapes our lives, but I believe we can shape it as well. And he's got kind of a nerdy haircut, this Kang. He's wearing glasses. He's got a mustache. And we cut to Loki and Mobius in the crowd. And this got a pop from the theater. Like there was the gasps when you see Tom Hiddleston and everything. And Mobius is like, I thought you said this guy was supposed to be so scary. He doesn't look so terrifying. And Loki's just like, he is. And then it cuts to black. Kang will return. So that's feels like a direct setup to Loki Season 2. I said to you in the theater, I would love it if this post-credit scene is what they build the entire season to. We're building to them meeting Victor Timely Kang in the finale of Season 2. That would blow my mind and be really cool in my eyes.
Yeah, it got me really excited for Loki, which comes out sooner than I think. I thought it was like summer of 23, but it might be spring of 23. So
I think so, yeah.
And whatever, we're getting it soon. Which, as I think of Loki now, remember all the Loki variants, and we had alligator Loki,
the most fun
Loki.
ones.
Tell me that wouldn't have been cool if we. And listen, I don't know if it even makes sense to do that with the little Ant-Man. And you have the Baskin Robbins Scott Lang. But like that was something that was very fun in Loki. If they had done that, it may be a completely different thing that you're doing there. I just thought it would have been more fun. I guess the Baskin Robbins was a nice joke. But the way I felt at the end of Loki, like it got me excited again. I'm like, okay, because did you see that Feige said they're going to start cutting back? They're going to pump the brakes on how many shows come out. As someone that recaps a lot of these shows, thank you, Kevin Feige. Because and listen, Kev, I know you listen to us. If it doesn't feel like a show, it doesn't feel like a movie. It could be a special. It could be a 40-minute special, an hour special, Werewolf by Night, anything like that. Guardians holiday special. Embrace that kind of stuff. We don't, and even like this, if you want to do some weird Star Wars show, put that fucking shit on Disney Plus and give us a regular Ant-Man. Like just there's other ways to go about it. But timely. It just reinforced this scene, just how much Kangs are out there, and I am very much ready for Jose to explain all this shit to me.
I'm ready for Jose to explain it. I'm ready to dive into the more Kangs, which it feels tough because on one level, you want to leave this movie looking for more Kang. You want to leave this movie like, I want more Kang. But we left it asking that in a way where we didn't feel like we got enough in this one. So it's a pull on both sides. But like I said, I would call this movie a single. I wouldn't call it a complete out. There are a lot of things in the movie that I liked. There's a great movie buried somewhere in this movie, but the final product is a bit of a disjointed mess that unfortunately underwhelmed us leaving the theater. I think that's fair to say.
Definitely fair to say. The Star Wars chunk in the beginning, and then kind of the way that a lot of the fight ended with Cassie's stuff with MODOK and then Kang. But there is stuff in the middle there, and then the very, very end that was enjoyable, as well as some of the beginning, the very beginning too. So I guess maybe calling it an out, it hurt. It is wrong, like a maybe an infield single or something like that. But I went in, thinking we're getting at least a double here, and we definitely didn't get that. What was your fast food item that you would compare this to?
So I thought about this for a while, and I talk a lot about how much I love the Taco Bell AM Crunch Wrap. It's my favorite fast food item. Now, they debuted another fast food item with the AM Crunch Wrap that I thought sounded amazing. It was the waffle taco. And I don't know if it's still on their menu, but it was a waffle as the shell, some sausage in there, some eggs in there, or bacon if you want that. And I was like, a fucking waffle taco from Taco Bell? That sounds amazing with their jalapeno sauce. Just didn't work. There's too many elements about it that made the waffle a bit soggy. And once you had the soggy waffle, I couldn't get past that. So unfortunately, I'm going to give it the waffle taco from Taco Bell, which was a very underwhelming item that I was very excited about.
That's okay. That's fair. Actually, you know, it's funny. I went to Taco Bell the other day to get breakfast, and I got the AM Crunch Wrap, and they forgot my hash brown
Inside the crunch wrap, like they didn't put one in there.
Yeah, they just gave me I think I got a sausage and egg, and it's not.
It's
there's no crunch
wrap then.
There's
yeah,
no
it's
crunch.
Not, yeah. Oh
and
shit!
I think that almost is what this movie was like. It didn't have enough of the kang that I was looking for in the crunch wrap. So you brought that memory back up. By the way, just because this is the fast food portion of the show, I happened to go to Taco Bell yesterday, and they have this new, it's called like the melty cheese taco or something.
Okay.
And it's like, I don't know if they're changing their default tacos like on the side, or if this is just a new one. Every day they have freshly fried taco shells, and it's a different taco shell than the old school one, because I always go Doritos Loco. I never go with the regular old school taco anymore. I always upgrade it. This shit is legit. It's kind of like a taco bowl consistency, except it's a little thinner, and it tastes really good. It tastes like restaurant quality. So check it out. I almost did a 15-second review on it. Maybe I'll do it one of these days. It was actually really good. My fast food review for this, and they've done this a few times. I am referencing the new Burger King French fries that I believe was in 1997 was the first time they like reintroduced them. And everyone's like, oh my God, they're changing fries. This is going to be such a big deal. And then everyone got them, and they're just like, kind of want the old ones back. And I thought I wanted this new thing. I wanted it to be different. They're going for McDonald's neck and the throne, obviously, when it came to the fries. I think you're just like, I don't know, man. Like, you had a pretty good thing. I don't think you had to shoot for the stars, because you kind of landed back on like the ground on your ass. So I kind of feel like if they had just stuck with the Ant-Man, typical formula, that would have been good. If they could have hit it out of the park and change the game on the French fry industry in this movie by changing up the Ant-Man and making it an Ant-Man Civil War, awesome. And I think by doing those two things, not doing either, and you kind of just, you're left with like these kind of just shitty fries that no one really liked. And I think they went back to them at some point. So the Burger King French fry remix is my answer.
That's a very good food review. Of course, a legend of the snack game. It's expected that you give the very accurate food reviews at this point. Like I said, though, this is a single for me, and especially because I was thinking about this, I think I prefer a bad, if you want to call it bad, Marvel movie to a decent other movie. I'm one of those people where you put me in the Marvel universe and I'm happy for 2 hours and I'm escaping life. And I'm like, all right, we're watching Scott Lang. It was an enjoyable time in the theater for me with Clem. First time seeing a movie with Clem since Endgame, which was 2018, 2019, years ago.
2019.
So we got to do that more often. Hopefully we could get to more of these screeners more often and have these ready for everyone when it comes out. And I genuinely hope that our listeners enjoyed it more than us, and that they're, more happy with what they got. But I have a feeling that based on the reviews I've seen, a lot of people are going to be on the same page as us.
Yeah, that was like, as soon as it was over, I'm like, I'm locked in on this. And I really hope, because it's always tough in the podcast where we have two wildly different opinions. So, but again, if people like it, even better. I even have the hashtag. So if you got to the end, hit us up, let us know your thoughts, and then hashtag Ant Wars. It was a Star Wars movie for Ant-Man. Ant Wars is the hashtag for today's episode. So hit us up on Twitter and give us your thoughts on everything, good, better, and different. And listen, we're not shamers. I've learned enough from The Last Jedi. It's fucking, some movies, it's like The Dress. It looks like two different things and everyone else is wrong except for you. Who gives a fuck? Just hopefully we're having fun. Hopefully we're going to have, I saw people were saying they should have stopped the MCU after Endgame. It's like, well, first of all, Disney, like, do you know Disney's in the money making business? Do you realize that they're going to just kill their cash?
Said today it's going on for another 80 years.
80 years. He wants to go as long as the comic books. I saw that.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So you're not going to get that. My brother actually is one of those people. He's one of those people that was like, I think they should have stopped after Endgame. I don't think he's seen most of the other projects. He hasn't seen any of the shows. He stopped after Endgame. He was like, that was the perfect ending. I'm done.
Michael Jordan hit that shot against Utah. Like, there is a case to be made. He didn't have to come back for the Wizards and then, become an owner of a team. Hopefully that's not where the MCU is headed. But they did kind of nail the landing. But unfortunately, in a capitalistic world, by one of the biggest capitalistic fucking entities in the country, they're going to keep going and they're going to bleed this motherfucker for all it's worth. So hopefully they keep it going, get it better. The second movie that has ever been rotten in their entire franchise too. It's like, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, and the guy with the hat can figure it all out.
Especially with James Gunn up next. Trust the Feige, trust the gun. Come on.
Do you think like they said to the guy, the writer of Ant-Man, or like the director, whatever, and they're just like, dude, do whatever you want because James Gunn's gonna be coming out 2.5 months later, and he'll just fucking, it's like having Edwin Diaz. They said this the other day. Adam Ottavino was like, I love him because if I fuck up as like the setup man, he just comes in and just strikes everyone out, and then the game's over. Like, doesn't matter as long as we're up a run, he'll come in, and that's kind of what James Gunn has been for the MCU. So that's a good call.
Yeah, so fingers crossed that they course correct very quickly. We will be back to talk about The Last of Us next week. The Last of Us, the saddest show on television, but goddamn, it's good. We just keep coming back. Clem, you tweeted a great meme today where you're like, you are a factory of sadness. I'll see you on Sunday.
Yep. Shout out that Cleveland Browns fan. It's an all-time line. He's screaming at the Browns stadium, and I just threw The Last of Us banner over there. So it's as I blog today, it's the worst show on TV. And by worst show, it's because it guts me every week, but it's the best show on TV because we're almost at the point. Maybe season 2 we'll do like I don't know about a live recap, or maybe like immediately for Monday morning we'll have something up. But it is so damn good. Then we have Mando coming up.
Yeah, very soon. That's going to sneak up on us. Our Disney trip with Dave, and we're going to be with Dave, you pointed out, for the second episode of Mando. So hopefully you, me, Dave, maybe Jeff, whoever's down there with us, could do like a group podcast on episode 2 of Mando.
That would be incredible. That would be so
pretty good. All right. The hashtag for this week is Ant Wars, hashtag Ant Wars. And let us know what you thought of the movie. I'm genuinely curious what our listeners, what people thought of this. If you're on the complete opposite side, I want to know that too. If you're like, fuck you guys, I thought that was tremendous. It was everything I wanted out of Ant-Man 3. Let us know. I want to know all your opinions. Let us know in the comments below as well. Make sure to like the video, subscribe. We're on the verge of 34,000. I think we could hit it this week. So make sure you get in there, keep the basement lights on, and we'll see you next week.